This is the Yankees Postcast, your instant game reaction for the New York Yankees. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
All right, the Yankee offense tonight consisted of two swings, a Trent Grisham solo home run early and a Trent Grisham two-run single late. That was it, but it was enough. Yanks beat the Orioles in Baltimore to kick off a three-game series. Final score 3-1. And all things considered, not a bad night for Carlos Rodón. Comes off the injured list, goes 4 innings through 66 pitches. And again, the Yanks win it 3-1, and they'll pick up a game on the Rays in the division. Hello, everybody. I'm Jay Berman, and welcome to the New York Yankees Postcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcast network. Before we begin, today's episode is brought to you by Kalshi. For a limited time, download the Kalshi app. Use code LOCKEDON, that's LOCKEDON, to get $10 when you trade $10. And we are off and running on this postcast.
This is what you'll be talking about.
So essentially it was Trent Grisham's bat. Carlos Rodón, at least for 4 innings, was pretty good pitching. And then the Yankee bullpen really settled down nicely, including David Bednar getting all 3 outs in the 9th inning to earn a save. Of course, his 17 consecutive saves without blowing one. Well, that streak was snapped just a couple of days ago. So what do we do after a streak is snapped? We start another one. So Bednar off and running. He gets the save. As for Rodón, 4 innings, 2 hits, 1 earned, 2 walks, 4 Ks. Did allow the home run to Coby Mayo, but that was it. Again, he throws 66 pitches. The splits weren't great. Only 39 strikes. But again, he hasn't pitched in however long. First start since June 28th. So essentially, it's been a month and a half since we've seen Carlos Rodón. Of course, it comes at the expense of Max Fried, who will not pitch anytime soon, although, and we have some news about that, although today, before the game, it seemed like the Yankees were pretty certain, pretty positively thinking that Fried will pitch in a couple of weeks when he comes off the IL, 15 days to be exact. But again, who knows, especially when you're dealing with an elbow for a pitcher. Despite that, it was good to have Rodón back as, again, the Yankees win 3-1. As we said, 4 innings, 1 earned, 2 walks, 4 Ks. As for the bullpen, now, the Yankees obviously used quite a few guys tonight. In fact, De Los Santos 1, Headrick 2, Cruz 3, Blackburn 4, and Bednar 5. So Yanks used 6 pitchers tonight. Now, to be fair, they had the day off before, but again, using high leverage guys in a close game and an important game. And as we said, Rays are going to lose. So the Yanks will be within 5 of the Rays in the division. And before you say, forget about the division, 5 games is not insurmountable, especially with the amount of time. Essentially, you have a month and a half left of baseball, of regular season baseball. And what's interesting is, before you cast aside the Orioles, and sure, they're under 500, but that's a playoff team as of now, at least coming into tonight. What's interesting is, think about the teams from the American League that could make the postseason. Obviously, the Rays, Yankees, and Red Sox are comfortably in. Coming into tonight, the Orioles actually held the final wild card spot in the American League, which means 4 teams out of the American League East would have made it, and none of those teams, the Toronto Blue Jays, who, of course, came so close to winning a World Series last year. All right, let's get back to Trent Grisham, because he really contributed tonight in 2 separate ways. He was the player of the game, and it was the turning point. Let us start with this.
This is the Locked On Player of the Game.
All right, as we said, Trent Grisham had 2 big swings tonight, a solo home run and a 2-run single, and that was all the runs for the Yankees. So because of that, he is our player of the game. 6 home runs in the last 13 games for Grish, 11 RBIs in his last 8 games. Now, of course, the average is still low, but remember how low it really was. He's up to 224, slugging 426. And again, the numbers are not great, But as of late, he's been white hot. 6 home runs, as we said, in his last 13 games and 11 RBIs in his last 8 games. He had 2 hits tonight, as did George Lombard Jr. The only 2 players on either, Leody Taveras had 2 hits, but the only 2 Yankees with 2 hits tonight. Grisham, obviously, with the 2 key hits, and George Lombard Jr., who went to right field with 2 ground balls, both ground balls finding holes in between first and second. Of course, they were playing the shift on Lombard. Regardless, he was the only other Yankee with 2 hits. But again, the Yanks win it 3-1. It is their 71st victory of the season. They're now 71-55. And as we said, the offense, not great, but good enough. Shane Baz was pretty good tonight for the Orioles, despite the fact that he allowed all 3 runs and takes the loss. That's a tough luck loss. He struck out 10 tonight. The Yanks whiff a lot. They really do. In fact, every starter, with the exception of Austin Wells, and he only had 2 at-bats, every starter had at least 1 strikeout. Grisham struck out once. Ben Rice struck out once. Ramos, Garcia, and Spencer Jones, along with Jazz Chisholm, all struck out twice. As for Jazz, well, is anybody else tired of watching Jazz complain about something? Now, to be fair, and it was a great point by David Cohn, to be fair, the ump was definitely in the line of Jazz. But here's the thing, and David Cohn pointed out, he's right on. He was in his line before the play started. And as Cohn said, umpires in the field are very, very accommodating when you ask them to move. So Jazz is clearly behind him, distracted and completely blocked, but he doesn't say anything to the ump before the play, before the pitch. So to be fair, and Cohn pointed it out, it was a great point. So to be fair, Jazz, this one's on you. And of course, you bobble the play. They get out of the inning, but you bobble the play, and then you bitch and moan to the ump. And that's just Jazz to a T. Anyways, it was an error, and we've seen plenty of those this season. As we said, speaking of errors, the Yanks are just so bad with the ABS, it's almost like, stop doing it. You cannot do it until the 5th or 6th inning. Now, which obviously won't be the case, but that was the case. Now, Ramos lost an ABS challenge in the 1st inning. Then Spencer Jones loses the ABS challenge in the 4th inning, and the Yanks were out of challenges, and it absolutely played a role later in the game. Several pitches on both sides, which you knew was going to be the case because the umps aren't perfect. So blowing your ABS challenges by the 4th inning on one in the 1st inning, which is inexcusable. And then Spencer Jones was way off as well. Both Ramos and Jones were way off on their ABS. As for Ramos, amazingly, he has a big, fat 0 RBIs since coming over to the Yankees. He struck out with the bases loaded and 2 outs in the 7th inning, which, of course, didn't come back to hurt the Yankees, but that could have put some distance in between them. And then perhaps you don't need Bednar in the 9th inning. And even Blackburn and Cruz, things change with another hit there from Ramos. But again, he is struggling, as 0 runs driven in as a Yankee. All right, let's do this.
Time to reveal where the game was won or lost. It's the turning point.
All right, so each team scores a run via a solo home run in the 3rd inning. We jump forward to the 7th inning, and that's the turning point. Bases loaded, 1 out. Ahmed Rosario is a pinch hitter, strikes out. Mr. Walker from Baltimore, the left-hander, gets 0-2 on Grisham, and then the entire at-bat falls apart from a Baltimore perspective. Grisham with the 2-run single, that was your turning point. And again, it proved to be essentially the game winner because it was 1-1 at that point in time. The Yanks take a 2-run lead on the single by Grisham. That makes it 3-1, and obviously off and running by that point. All right, we'll take a break. We have injury updates like you wouldn't believe, and we'll get you set for the final 2 games of the series, both night games, Wednesday night And then Thursday night, before the Yankees return home for 3 with the Blue Jays and 3 with the Astros, and then, of course, 3 with the Red Sox as well. So a huge homestand coming up. Again, we'll take a break. When we come back, the injury updates and the pitching matchups. Stay tuned, folks. We are not going anywhere. All right. Big thank you to our friends at Amazon for this limited break. This back-to-school season, spend less on your kids with Amazon. We all know how crazy the back-to-school shopping experience can be. It starts with a few items on the list, then suddenly you're shopping for supplies, for clothes, for lunch gear, for tech, and about 10 other things you didn't see coming. Trust me, it adds up fast. When you look at the school supply list and wonder if you're shopping for one child or opening a small office supply store. I didn't realize first grade required this much inventory. Shopping like this can get out of control if you're not careful. So remember, with Amazon's low back-to-school prices, just spend less on your kids because every dollar you don't spend on them is a dollar you haven't spent on them. Shop back to school at Amazon and spend less on your kids. All right, as we said, lots of injury news to get to. We'll start with Aaron Judge, who will begin his hitting progression this week, according to Aaron Boone. Max Fried has low-level inflammation, and we told you the Yanks, they're certainly not certain, but feeling quite positive that Fried could return in a couple of weeks. Boone said that, again, he has low-level inflammation in his elbow, which, of course, to me, makes me nervous, no matter what the Yankees say. He's continuing to throw, so he's not throwing, and they're optimistic he can return again. 2 weeks seems aggressive. Also, Cody Bellinger will begin his rehab assignment in Thursday in Scranton. He believes he'll do at least one more game after that, but again, still undetermined. So if all goes well, Bellinger 1, 2, maybe 3 games in Scranton. We'll have to see what the schedule is like and how he feels. And then he could return. And obviously, considering how bad the Yankees offense has been without Judge and without Bellinger, what a sight for sore eyes. And even with Bellinger not having the season of his life, great to have him back in the lineup, especially against right-handed pitchers. All right, probables for the Orioles and the Yankees' final 2 games. On Wednesday, Will Warren will get the start. Chris Bassett will start for the Orioles. On Thursday, Garrett Cole gets the start for the Yankees. Remember, these are both night games, Wednesday and Thursday, 6:35 Eastern time start. Got to love those early starts. So Garrett Cole Thursday, Kyle Bradish will start on Thursday for the Orioles. So again, Will Warren, Chris Bassett on Wednesday, Garrett Cole, Kyle Bradish on Thursday. As we said, the Yanks finally return home. 3 with Toronto, 3 with Houston, and 4 with Boston. A 10-game homestand. So again, very important games, all against the American League. And despite the fact that Toronto is struggling this year, that's still a formidable foe. Yanks have to be careful again on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday with Toronto. Then the Astros come in. They haven't been great, but they're in a position to make a playoff run. And, of course, the Red Sox, you know that's going to be awesome. There's 4 starting next Friday, a week from Friday. Friday, Saturday, Sunday is actually 2 games. It's a makeup doubleheader. It's a split doubleheader on Sunday. So, pardon me. The split doubleheader is on Saturday, day game on Sunday. So, again, really interesting stuff. 3 with Toronto, 3 with Houston, 4 with Boston, including a doubleheader on that Saturday. Before we get there, 2 more games with the Orioles. And as we said, Will Warren, Chris Bassett on Wednesday night, and Garrett Cole and Kyle Bradish. They'll go on Thursday night. Also want to mention our partners in crime over at Locked On Yankees. They're the best. It's Stacy. It's Brian. Make sure you follow, subscribe, and enjoy. Again, they do an awesome job over at Locked On Yankees. Yanks win tonight 3-1. Carlos Rodón makes his long-awaited return. 4 innings, 66 pitches, just 39 for strikes, which isn't great, but we'll give him a pass because he only allowed 1 run and 4 hits. In 4 innings. as the Yankees win it 3-1. Rays lose, so the Yanks pick up a game. They're now 5 back of Tampa and, of course, comfortably in the first wild card spot in the American League. All right, this has been the Yankees Postcast. My name is Jay Berman. Tomorrow night, immediately following Will Warren and Chris Bassett, we'll be right back with you, right in this same spot. Again, it's Jay Berman. It's the Yankees Postcast. Let's go, Yanks, and we'll see you tomorrow night.